My experience of the sculpture of Deborah Butterfield is that of entering a sacred space, where I am drawn in as much by what is there as by what is not. The negative space, which, and I quote, allows you to crawl in there and find some kind of silence. Imposing and lyrical, static and kinetic, these contradictions are baked into the work, with the artist going so far as to say, these are not really horses at all. Deborah Butterfield was born in 1949 in San Diego, California, the same day Ponder won the Kentucky Derby, and she describes her first experience of seeing a horse as being moved in a non-rational, passionate way, before she had the words to describe it, saying, "It was like I had a horse-shaped hole in my vision, and it clicked." Throughout her childhood, Butterfield was teased quite brutally for drawing horses, and by high school she'd sworn off including them in her art. But later, as a grad student in ceramic sculpture at UC Davis, studying under the likes of Wayne Thiebaud, Robert Arneson, Manuel Neri, and Roy DeForest, she got a job on a horse farm, eventually began riding, and, as she didn't yet have the guts to do the horse, her words, she began sculpting clay saddles, the liminal space between horse and rider. The year was 1973, and artists were making big conceptual pieces. Finally, Butterfield says, I just had to give in. To make horses was so dopey, it was cutting edge. With the Vietnam draft underway and a desire to protest, Butterfield gave herself permission to go into the studio, saying, maybe what I do there will end up influencing people. Historically, equestrian art was depicted as the warhorse. Those who had the horse won the battle. In contrast, Butterfield's first sculpture, a full-size ceramic mare, tame, unbridled, turned the trope of male domination on its head. It was a metaphorical self-portrait, a feminist response to aggression. While giving a talk in Lexington, Kentucky, she had an opportunity to see Secretariat, the most valuable horse in the world, and he was covered in mud. After that encounter, Butterfield went into her backyard and dug up dirt, leaves, grass, and twigs, mixed it all together with plaster and glue, and covered the metal armature. A piece from this new series was included in the 1979 Whitney Biennial, and her career took off. The final evolution of Butterfield's aesthetic came while clearing old fence material from her ranch in Montana. Instead of throwing it out, she incorporated it into her work and found the resulting open armature captivating as an end in itself. Covering, as she says, was like frosting on a perfectly fabulous pound cake that didn't really need it, and so I just started going bare. Butterfield describes her work as an abstract activity. It's very not a horse, she says. It's this rectangle on 4 legs, and only towards the end, when I add a neck and head, all of a sudden it becomes personified. Imposing and lyrical, static and kinetic, horse, not horse. In 1988, in response to a request by the Walker Art Center to place her sculpture outside, Butterfield began working with the renowned Walla Walla Foundry in Washington State, where she casts her work in bronze, extending the life of her art for centuries. The result is an astounding facsimile, so close to the original I've wanted to touch it to make sure it wasn't wood. Butterfield likens the foundry, and I quote, to a chocolate factory for artists, where pretty much anything you can think of can be made. For the past 50 years, Butterfield's subject matter has remained constant, while her exploration of materials is unceasing. Clay, sticks, mud, crushed heating ducts, tsunami and earthquake debris, scrap metal, barbed wire, the list goes on. And that's what I find remarkable. Through exquisite composition, Butterfield transforms the mundane into a profound emotional experience. In other words, great art. Thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing and sharing. Until next time.